on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. when we will do a live show talking, just having fun, and then talking about the things that are affecting our community.
Hey, hold on. Hold on, hold on. Really? Sorry. Oh gosh, hold on. Sorry. Yeah, very big tech. Yes, technical difficulties.
Nope. There we go. There we go. I know. Check. Yep. We're here for technical difficulties.
Somebody else got music going here?
Miss Debbie has music going in the back of the room.
You have to turn that off, Dad.
Yeah, sorry you guys.
Welcome.
Hold on. My camera for some reason not even like. Sorry.
No worries.
We're having some major technical difficulties. Cancel. Delete. Sorry you guys. Addie, River. Just
Oh my. Only day 2 of school. And already a South Fort Myers High student has been arrested for having a gun in his car on campus. In his car? Gully County! We're waiting in the race for our time.
The crowd's getting restless.
$48 last night at the county fair. I throwed out my shoulder, but I wanted that teddy bear. She got me saying, sugar pie, honey, darling. See a brace, play a game all year. I'm gonna get fired if I don't get some sleep. My long lost buddies say I'm getting in too deep, but I like it, I love it, I want some more of it. I tried so hard, I came out above it. Don't know what it is about that little gal's loving, but I like it, I love it, I want some more of it.
District 6 at large as Denise Nystrom. That's countywide. That means everybody can vote. And to my left, running for school board, Lee County School Board District 1 is Christy Diabagelli. And our special guest tonight, running for Collier County School Board District 5, is Mr. Timothy Mosier. I am Smoking Joe, and this is the Cracker Culture, the podcast for real Floridians. We thank everybody for coming. We thank everybody for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I want to thank our sponsors, Farmer Joe's Fresh Market, that's located at 1401 Southwest Pine Island Road in beautiful Cape Coral, Florida, 33991. Absolutely, hands down, the best grocery store in all of Lee County.
Literally.
We want to thank Mr. Bill Simmer and Mr. Kirby for letting us have this show here at Bonita Bill's Waterfront Cafe, located at 702 Fisherman's Wharf in beautiful Fort Myers Beach, Florida. And now we're going to get on with the show. So we've invited Mr. Mosier down, and I have to be honest, I haven't really followed a lot of the Collier County School Board race. I have watched you, I've watched Jerry Rutherford, I've watched Kelly Litcher. Out of all the candidates, y'all, in my opinion, are the strongest candidates for that district, for that area, for Collier County. I know in this deal, you've got 4 other opponents, and you know.
I didn't realize you had that many people.
Yeah,
Man.
there's 5 in that race.
Yeah, all the other districts are 3 in each one, and I got 5.
I thought mine was bad. Man, that's tough.
Well, and tonight this show is going to be about how bad it gets when you're running for office.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not running for office. I'm running my mouth. But I've watched all these individuals, and it starts out, everybody's friendly.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody likes everybody. We get to meet new people. And
Taking
smiling.
pictures together.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, unbelievable. And then when it gets down to the end, we're days away from the primary. And when we get down to the end of it, it seems like everybody wants to sling mud. Now you look at what happened to Jason Jones, Big Mama. They actually invested money to put out flyers to degrade the man.
mailers. Yeah,
Yeah.
two separate mailers.
Just to degrade the
Do you
man.
know how expensive it is to send out mailers? To even just one district, it's like $5,000 at least. That's a minimum. $5,000.
So
That's a lot of money.
So let's talk about that mailer for a minute, because when you look at it, it actually came from a PAC. Now, I don't profess to be an expert on PACs, but what I can tell you is that when a mailer comes from a PAC, there's something going on behind the scenes. In other words, there's a campaign manager somewhere who's tied into these PACs, who's tied into this dark money, and they're using that dark money to basically take out a candidate and put out information, negative information.
We call
When you
that
see
the
hit
establishment.
Yes, when you see hit pieces like that. Now, because I would be remiss if I did not say this, you will see both of my mailers. I was very fortunate to have had mine sent out by a PAC, but they're informational. Like, they're
Right.
about me as a candidate. They're not slinging mud towards any of my opponents.
But
Because
now
that's a
when you-
nasty way of playing
When
this
you
game.
say you went with a PAC, it's not one of the big PACs like
No.
that's really trying to control the election.
No, it's a local.
Yeah, you went with, it had a local PAC
Mhm.
with minimal involvement, and that PAC is not somewhere where you're beholden to anybody.
No.
Right, well, and here's the thing, Joe, I've started to do a little investigation on these PACs, and what you're gonna find are that there are these donors, I mean big donors,
Yeah.
people that are donating 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, and then they donate it someplace, and then it somehow gets spread around, almost like they're trying to create a situation where you'll have no idea where the money comes from. In our case, there was PAC money that came from Alfie Oaks PAC.
Yes.
Okay, but Alfie Oaks PAC is funded by everyday citizens like you
Right.
and me. And it comes from, like, for example, the purchase of t-shirts. And so the proceeds go into the PAC. And Alfie is a patriot who just decided that he wants we the people, America First candidates on the school board.
But that's
So
why it's important that we do our research, because like if we were to just take what you had said there about, oh well, PACs and dirty money and all that, that is the case when it comes to a lot of these national PACs and even some of these statewide ones. We have an awful lot of state house representatives out there who have PACs, and they all, if you just follow the money, if you start to follow the money on one, it's like a pinball machine where it's ding 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 ding, and you're going through all of these other PACs. That's, I think, more of what Denise is talking about there. There are some good PACs out there.
There are, but you know, but I was sorry, I just lost my train of thought on the whole PAC thing.
Well, what I was saying in the beginning, it's got dirty. Now look, I'm simply an advocate. I'm not got no desire to run for public office. I have been called a well-funded white supremacist, and I'm a damn Indian that's broke. Okay, so I don't get it, but you know that's the kind of thing. Christie's took a lot of hits. She took a lot of hits about her faith and all kind of things. Denise has come under fire.
So much.
I mean, incredible. Now, Mr. Mosier's come under fire, and let me tell you why they've come under fire. Because they are not part of the establishment, and they're winning.
Well, that's what I was going to actually say about PACs. So, for example, all of those PACs that are funding those things, they haven't vetted any of the candidates. They didn't vet candidates and then choose who the best candidates were. What they did is they're just in alignment with certain campaign managers, and therefore all of that PAC money goes to those candidates, the establishment candidates.
Well, and everybody wants to get endorsed by certain people. I mean, it's nice to feel like you've got somebody that's backing your campaign, that's in your corner. And the problem we've got with those endorsements is some of the bigger name endorsements, and I love our governor. I think he's the greatest governor in the world.
Ever.
But he don't know some of these people he's endorsed by. He's going simply off of what the PAC or the committees is telling him. He's never had a chance to vet these guys. He's never sat down. I mean, I can honestly tell you, from what I know about the governor, he's already made a couple endorsements. I don't think if he actually knew the person for an hour he would do. But that's part of the game.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, speaking of that, you just made me think of this, but one of the people that he endorsed, Christie's opponent, was called the pro-parent candidate. And if anybody knows Christie, they will tell you, they know she has lived at these school board meetings, lived there.
And I can't recall ever seeing him there, maybe once.
He's been there just about a handful of times.
I can't recall seeing him.
You know, and not only that, but Christie actually brought a nationally known organization called Power to Parent here. I mean, I'm speaking for you at this point, Christie, but I'm just saying you've been advocating for parents for a long time.
That's okay, because when I look at my opponent's campaign contributions, one of the most recent ones was a $1,000 contribution from a very well-known PAC called the 78 Priorities or something along those lines. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's just very odd because, you know, you can look up any one of our voting profiles on the Lee County Supervisor of Elections website, you know, and you can find out what party any candidate lies with. So, you know, I'm a registered Republican. My opponent is a registered Republican. But that $1,000 donation came from a PAC that strictly gives to Democrats and to Democratic organizations. So, you know, I can't tell you why that happened, but I can tell you what I would do if I was put in that position. And I've got not a lot of money in my account, so I could really use $1,000. I would politely return it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I remember there was an organization that's going to remain nameless, and they had PAC money, and they asked us if we would accept their PAC money, and both of us.
I want to tell.
Well, no, don't. and oh God, I hate when you do that. Okay, so anyway, but basically we said we would have to know where the money came from before we would accept it. Because if the people that are contributing to that PAC, if our value system is not in alignment with them,
then you can't sign up with it.
We're not going to accept that money.
Like, I don't know, what about you, Tim? Do you got any dark money in your campaign contributions?
No, mine just comes from local people everybody that I know. I agree with everybody that I know, and it's, you know, I'm a local job. I'm going for a local school board position from the county.
That's the way
I don't need money coming in from other places. And, you know, I put a lot of my own money into it because I believe, you know, there was a problem. with the school board in Collier County, and that's why I decided to run. I went to
Hey.
school board meetings, and it just,
I think I met with you and your wife 6 months ago when you were first deciding to run, and we actually had to sit down. Do you
that was
remember
almost
that?
a year ago.
Was it that long ago?
Time flies.
Yeah. I was gonna
Wow, I
say.
can't even believe it. And we were talking then about your interest in school board and why you wanted to run and all of that. I mean, I can't even believe it's been a year. Can I say one other thing going back to that? Please, folks, please look at the campaign contributions for all of the candidates. It tells you really everything that you need to know. If people are getting thousands of dollars from real estate developers, land developers, lawyers, et cetera, guess what? When they get on that board, they are beholden to other entities other than to who they should be beholden to. So the fact of the matter is that when you're accepting money from the kind of people that we're accepting money from, there are only certain people you're beholden to. The kids, their parents, and the community.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and before, look, when I invited Mr. Mosier on the show, I was simply going to talk about the discrepancies in what's going on in the school board versus Collier County versus Lee County. But when Mr. Mosier showed up, and this shows you how dirty it's got, Mr. Mosier's been attacked. There's been claims that he's anti-Semitic, and I find it laughable. Like I told you, they said that my show was based on a well-funded white supremacist, and like I said, I'm a broke Indian. Well, Tim's wife is Jewish. His children are Jewish. And now they're trying to pin a label on him like he is anti-Semitic, which is the craziest thing. This just goes to show you the levels that people will do when they're nervous about somebody. And that's what this is from. They're afraid of you.
So how long have you been married to this Jewish woman?
Well, tomorrow will be 35 years.
Oh, congratulations.
So,
Yeah.
I think if I had a problem by now, it wouldn't have lasted 35 years.
Isn't her mother Jewish?
I think so.
Isn't her grandmother Jewish?
I think so.
Yes,
And I also think my daughters are Jewish.
Yes.
My grandchildren are Jewish. So I don't think I really have a problem with,
That's gotta make
Jewish
a-
people. It just,
Don't you celebrate both Christmas and
I was
Hanukkah?
going to say, that's got to be a hell of a
Hanukkah, we go to
family
Bar
get-together.
Mitzvahs, we go to Rosh Hashanah.
Oh, so you're not
the High
just
Holy Days.
Jewish in name only. You
No,
are-
we
you
go
are
all the
a
holidays.
practice-
I mean-
okay, all right.
I mean, if you have like 2 or 3 hours, we can go through all the pictures.
No, I don't think it's necessary.
We even have pictures of the Brits if you'd like to see that.
I mean, hey, but this is
That could
coming
get a little
from
interesting.
this kind of rhetoric is coming from the same people that would like to try and convince Lee County that I'm not a real Christian, even though I worked in children's ministry for the better part of the last decade. They'd like people to believe that Denise worked in that she is the reason for all of the employees that had to be exited from the district that she was in.
Yes.
Now, not to mention that this was when Obamacare went into play, and the layoffs were a cause
Happening
of that.
everywhere.
Exactly.
Oh, and how about this? This person will remain nameless, but I guarantee you this person is watching this podcast tonight, and there will be videos about me because they've made it their life's mission to tell my whole
I
story
even forgot about
inaccurately and
that.
falsely. Yes. So it's very entertaining.
That's right, Tim. At least you don't have someone who's dedicated an entire Facebook page to trashing you, all
Lying
the time.
about
Every
you.
literal word that comes out of your mouth.
Oh, he already has the ideas. It's not good.
It's
It's
probably
unfortunate.
out there.
Smart
Oh,
It's
person.
it will be
Bad-
tomorrow.
bad
Our
methodology.
fan club will make a lovely
Yeah.
video about you tomorrow.
So I understand that this whole thing came out of the blue for you too. Like you just happened to be somewhere else, and all of a sudden a reporter just kind of put the microphone into your face. Is that right?
That basically started out last Saturday. I had a volunteer that just graduated from college. She put some videos I was unaware of online. I didn't know that.
Wait, on your page?
It wasn't on my page, it was on her page.
Oh, on her personal
So
page.
it wasn't like it was representing me.
Okay.
So I couldn't hear very well. It was a loud situation. And, do you have any problem with her posting on social media? She was posting for me. I didn't realize what was going on.
Well, that was somebody
And-
relatable. You didn't think there'd be no problem.
Exactly. I've
Somebody
known this
was
girl since
yeah.
she was, 4 or 5 years old and never had any issues with her. And I just have Facebook. I guess I'm an old person because it's like an old person's newspaper. And I don't do Instagram, I don't do TikTok. You know, I might catch YouTube to see what was going on to figure out how to do things. And I'm out there, I like talking to people, not sitting behind a TV screen doing things.
But now your Instagram got hacked, correct?
Correct. I mean, if you look at my Instagram, it was put in right about the time I started my campaign, and there might be 2 or 3 posts. So why in the world would I put something anti-Semitic on it a week before the primary
Right.
and say, hey, I'm anti-Semitic, I hate the Jews.
I know, right?
I mean, I know I'm not a teacher, and I've spent 30 years in the trucking business, but I'm kind of smarter than that.
So let me ask you a couple of questions. Let's just make sure that the audience gets this straight. So basically, there's a young lady that you've known since the time she was 4 or 5 years old. And am I correct in saying that she actually calls you uncle and your wife aunt? It's that close of a relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it's been around. She went off to college.
Right.
You know, I saw her once or twice, you know, when we're getting together. And I haven't seen her probably in about a year and a half.
And then she asked you if she could volunteer for your campaign, correct?
Well, she just graduated from college. She was coming back. And she asked if she could help out till she found a job, you know, doing Facebook stuff. Well, I, you know, talked to some people, and they're always saying, let the young kids handle the Facebook. You can just send off pictures because we're at so many events, we're taking pictures, and it's just easier to let somebody else do it.
She wanted the technical experience.
Yeah, she
didn't
had the technical experience. I know
Right.
she had done it, but I don't go backing up every TikTok video,
Right.
everything that they do. I mean, I'm not going to go.
And so basically, it was actually her that put something out that gave the appearance that something was anti-Semitic, and yet it got twisted to be that somehow, because she was volunteering for your campaign, that meant somehow that you were anti-Semitic. Am I correct in saying that?
Correct. And then she put down to try to get a job that she was my campaign manager. Well, my wife of 35 years wouldn't let my niece be my campaign manager. She's not doing
And
it.
who is your campaign manager?
My Jewish wife.
Oh, come on. If you've ever
No.
been to an event or any place that Tim and Debbie have been at, you know
You know who Debbie is.
Tim's campaign
yes.
manager is.
Oh, yes.
Okay?
You actually have to say, Debbie, okay, can I talk
I know.
to Tim for a
Yeah,
minute?
exactly. So, but that's a good campaign manager.
Right.
You know, and here's the thing. You know, if you shouldn't be held accountable to everything that someone else says and does.
I said all the time, because these girls, I don't want to affect their campaigns negatively, but I'm going to tell you, I'm a wild card. I'm subject to say any damn thing and not care who gets upset about it. However, I have caught myself being way more guarded than I want to be, and simply because the way people twist the actual truth. Now, you've been in the trucking background, I've had a trucking background, and that gives you a lot of time to develop your mind and think, more so than everybody that's really out in the active, you know, the hustle and bustle. You're working, but you've got time to sit there and think, you've got time to listen to what's going on in the news. I know most truck drivers, I think news is probably the going force when you're in there, because you can't just listen to music all the time. You got to have some type of other interaction. And I think that a lot of guys that are in that industry, they have more worldly views than somebody that's just been a paper pusher their whole life. I really believe that.
Well, being in the trucking business, you know, I've driven, I've dispatched trucks, I've talked to customers, dealt with their problems, found out, you know, when they were running their trucks, you know, I went in there and looked at, see what they were doing to straighten out their problems. And there's just so much more involved than just sitting behind the wheel and driving it. You have to remember, when you're in the transportation business, you're moving millions of dollars of products every day. You want to get to point A to point B. And as a matter of fact, I've never had people come up to me and say, how are you going to get product from point A to point B? They just want to make sure it gets there and it gets done. I mean, you've done that. I mean, they ever ask you how you get from point A to point B, they just want to make sure it gets done.
Yep, and
So,
on time.
would you consider yourself a numbers guy?
Yeah, I mean, you're always looking at everything that goes on. You know, you're looking at the better people and you want to copy what they're doing. So, you know, in the trucking business, you look at the people that have the nicer trucks, figuring they're doing something better. You look at their people that are nicer people, they want to get things done. And I don't want to say I'm lazy, but being in the trucking business, I don't want to be out there all the time. I want to get to point A to point B as fast as I can and get home. I mean, I've been married 35 years. I want to spend as much time with my wife as I can. And that's part of life. I mean, I don't like milking the clock. I mean, a lot of people sit down, you see them sleeping, and it's just like, no, we're not going to play that game.
Yep.
And, you know, I live in Everglades City and worked in Miami for 5 years, so.
Well,
that
now,
was a
and,
long
and
drive.
everybody that's come on this show basically are grassroots candidates, and they're not doing it for money. You've got a successful business. You don't need the money that goes along with the school board job. And Denise, she's got a pension. She don't really need the money that goes on the school board job. I mean, Christy, she's got a husband. She can do without it. These people are coming on because their dedication to doing right by our children. It is from the heart. And that being said, when we talked about them PACs before, these people that are involved in these big corporate PACs, they end up being beholden to land developers, real estate agents. There's all type of people that invest because they're looking to get something out of it. You ain't going to take a girl on a date unless you figure on getting a kiss. So the same way with investing my money, I'm going to look something for my dollar.
Well, we're dealing with that actually even right now in the school district of Lee County, with a current board member. We have, I just love this person's videos, YouTube videos that they make all the time, and I just watched some pretty funny ones about the inappropriate relationship between a vendor and one of our current school board members. And
Chris Patrica, I'll say that name all day.
This all started back when she was running for office, and this vendor contributed to her campaign. Like, this deals are made before you ever get your butt even into that seat.
Yep.
And I can tell you right now, the candidates that are sitting at this table right here, we haven't made any deals with anyone except we the people. Like, those are the only people that we're interested in making any deals with. And not the kind of deals that, include multi-million-dollar land acquisitions and, contracts and MOUs.
Well, and that's like Denise's background is educational. Christy's background is educational plus more along the lines of ministry. And then Tim's background is being a business owner. He's been in logistics. And look, when you're in logistics, that helps out. Every element of those type of jobs would help with the school board, especially when you're talking about busing and things like that. Because when you're in logistics, you look at things differently than other people do.
Oh, exactly. At the last school board meeting about 2 or 3 ago, they're talking about days off when they're doing the calendar. They're doing 2 half days in a week, and I'm in logistics, so I see the trucks have to run twice in 1 week. Then the parents can only take half a day off of school to do it, and it's tough for parents. They have to drop them off, get the kids to school, and then turn around, spend an hour or two at work and then get back. Then you have to burn twice as much fuel. Why don't you just make it 1 day and then let them have the whole day off, and then you don't have to run the bus the other day? That's expensive. Now the fuel's up to $6 a gallon. It doesn't make sense. There's not a lot of common sense in what they're doing.
There's zero common sense. Zero. And it's funny that you mentioned logistics, because that's exactly what my whole job was in ministry. Yeah, I was in children's ministry, but I was logistics. Our children's pastor, he was the visionary. He'd have these big, grandiose ideas, and I'd have to pick it apart and make it happen. And that's what the district needs right now. They need people that are not just going to say, oh, well, we've tried it already that way once, and oh, it didn't work when we did it this way, and oh, that's just not going to... No! We need people that are going to do innovative things and try new things, just like the governor did with the whole water restoration thing, with the whole water quality thing that just recently. He let the what are they called? The
Army Corps of Engineers.
Army Corps, yeah. He let the Army Corps, he gave them liberty to use their brains and come up with things that were outside of the box. And guess what we have? No more blue algae. No more red tide. Like, none. And it's been that way for years now because they were allowed to think. And that's what we need. That's what we need here. That's what we need. I'm going to say Southwest Florida, because Lee County and Collier County, they are birds of a feather. When Collier County does something, you bet your butt, Lee County is going to be scurrying behind them before too long. And we need to work together to make sure that we're doing things that are the best for Southwest Florida as a whole.
Well, and another thing, and I don't know what Tim's faced with down there in Collier County, but I know that, Denise's opponent worked for a drug company. And most of us were anti the mandates. And you can't help but wonder if somebody that's got ties into a drug manufacturer, what their actual agenda is. You know, it's hard to say. Now, I'm not saying that somebody's gonna come in here and do something illegal or favor some vendor, but we see it happening here in Lee County already. We have one school board member, possibly more, but we have one that's definitely involved in misappropriation of funds and realistically has basically shafted the taxpayers by giving millions of dollars away to a vendor that we're not sure is even doing their job.
I mean,
Can I,
just one. There's many.
You know, can I just reflect back on something that we were saying a few minutes ago, because I think this is relevant, and it's something that has been said about me in the districts that I worked in that is 100% complete false. First of all, I worked on Long Island, and if anybody knows anything about Long Island schools, they would know that they are very traditional schools, very high-performing schools.
Denise, can you explain that? So for the people like me that didn't understand that at first when you said it, what does that mean when you say traditional schools?
Okay, so they've never moved away from something like classic literature or civics.
What's the expectation in a school district like that?
The expectation is, the expectation is that the dropout rate has to be low. And I mean, like if 4 kids in a year drop out, the Board of Education and the school district is going nuts because we don't want any dropouts.
Why though?
None.
What's the goal? Like, what is their goal?
The ultimate goal is to help students transition from grade 12 into higher education, vocational training, the military, or a job with upward mobility. And so you don't just track the kids that are being retained, you've got to track the kids that are dropped out. Because if you're not tracking the kids that dropped out, then you could make it look like you have a high success rate when in fact you really don't. When you look at the number of Regents diplomas advanced Regents diplomas that these kids received in the districts that I worked in, they are like in the 60 percentile, 70 percentile. Regents diplomas in the 45 plus percentile.
Now, what would that compare to like around here? Would that be like an ACE Cambridge or an IB diploma? Like,
yes,
okay.
absolutely.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the kids that are in advanced Regents or
Okay.
IB programs.
So those are just.
Oh yes, because we have those also. Okay, and
Wouldn't that be nice?
Right, and
That's unheard of.
It is unheard of, and all you have to do is go on US and World Reports and type in whatever the school district is, and I will tell you right now, one of them was Lynbrook, Lynbrook, Lynbrook Union Free School District, and Sewanaka Central High School District, SEWANHAKA, Sewanaka Central High School District, which was comprised of 10,000 students and 1,200 employees. And there have been people that have actually had the nerve to say to me that these were school districts that were promoting CRT. No, they weren't. Now, I don't know what they're doing now. I've been down here for 7 years. But those are the kinds of lies that have been said in order to make me look like something that I'm not. Let me talk for a second also about the high turnover rate, because there was a high turnover rate for a while, and the reason why was because Governor Cuomo, in his infinite wisdom, implemented a 2% tax cap. And the districts literally could not make it from budget to budget because they didn't have, if you're implementing a 2% tax cap, but the economy is going up by 3%, figure it out. You're going to be cutting teachers. You're going to be cutting across the board. So I literally spent 7 years cutting positions. And then all of the positions that I did cut that would have to be excess or laid off and then go back onto a seniority list, I had to call them back. That's what made it look like the revolving door. Actually, I did a really great job because I helped a lot of people find jobs during a really, really tough time like that. And then Obamacare hit and it got even worse. So our budgets were actually operating in deficits. So, I'm just putting that out there for those people that may happen to see the entire Facebook page that has been dedicated to me for 7 months. And it's really a shame because that particular person has some brains, but obviously doesn't really want to help the right people do the right thing.
And look, that being said, look, Denise, Christy, even Tim, they're good people. They got families. And when I see people telling blatant lies on these people, I think about the effect it has on their families. Because it's not easy being the spouse of one of these people that's running for office. And then it's even worse when you got somebody telling lies on them. And we have been faced with that. And they're not the only ones. They're telling lies on other people. But there's some people you never see nobody say nothing bad about. The reason being is people like us, we might mention it, but we don't live for the detriment of another person.
Come
And
on.
some of these people, it's all they live for the thrill of destroying somebody, and they try to erase their credibility. When, in essence, to me, as a voter, I see this and it makes me think, well, you know, this guy must be the right person, because if he wasn't, they wouldn't be so hard trying to get him
Yep.
out of my
Well,
sight.
you know, with me, I spent 30 years in the trucking business. About a year and a half ago, I started going to school board meetings based on the mask. I mean, the stupid piece of cloth that you put on there. And these people are so smart. You got 7 million particles to fit on the head of a pin. That's going to go through anything.
Right.
And then it just, you know, it's kind of evolved from there. Then I started learning about the staffs and where they are. And the gentleman I'm going up against, he's been in the system since 1978. And, you know, he says how great he is. But I question that, because everyone I've talked to, and I know you all have gone into grocery stores, McDonald's and everything, and I hand them change and they can't even figure out basic math. I mean, how are these kids graduating?
Yeah.
I mean, figuring, and then I had to explain at least to 3 of them what a penny was, what a nickel was, what a dime and a quarter was, and they graduated in the last 2 years from the local high schools. And it's just like, how do they graduate? And they're pushing a 92% graduation rate.
Because
I
they're
mean,
forced graduating them. They're
Exactly.
pushing them through with absolutely no regard to what it's doing to our community. You know, we had last year, and we're supposed to get the numbers sometime this month for this year, like the exact numbers for the retention rates at least. But last year we had close to 1,000 kids that were documented that didn't graduate.
And that was the kids that didn't graduate. They haven't even said the kids that dropped out.
Well, yeah, and it's not, but that's not even the most egregious part. The most egregious part is that same year, not one single 9th grader, 10th grader, or 11th grader was retained. Not one.
Exactly. And the American for Tax Parity, I signed their pledge not to raise taxes, and as I pulled up into their development, there was a gate, and you had to talk to a security guard, and she saw what I had on the sign that I was running for school board, and she started screaming at me, and like, whoa, what's going on? You know, why are you mad at me? I'm just pulling up trying to get in. She goes, you have the sign, you're on the school board. I go, no, I'm running for the school board. They just passed her son from the 10th through 11th grade
Oh my gosh.
that can't read,
Yeah.
and their 4th graders reading better than him. And she goes, I don't understand why you keep passing him. He shouldn't be passed, and this is, you know, absurd. And I go, well, that shouldn't happen. He should
Listen.
actually have to learn what's going on and learn to read. I mean, that's part of the problem. They
I
keep
would-
pushing the envelope,
But-
kicking the can down the road.
As
I
a
would-
parent, you cannot expect the school to do everything. If you have
No,
a kid
you're
that's
right.
made it to the 10th or 11th grade and their ass can't read, that's on you.
Yeah.
You can't blame
There
the
does
teacher
need to be
for
some
that.
personal responsibility in that, and I'll tell you that's one of the things that I tell people all the time at meet and greets, you know, wherever I have an opportunity to talk to people. You know, my campaign is run on parental rights, but it's more than that, because, you know, yes, it's our right to be involved in our kids' education, but it is our responsibility to be involved in our kids' education. Like, we have to be involved in this process with them. And Joe's right. If our kids get to 10th grade, 11th grade, and they literally can't read, we have to accept some accountability in that. Because we, as their parents, you know, Denise and I went to the Christian Home Educators of Southwest Florida. We went to to a meeting that they had the other day, and one of the moms that was up there, who's a homeschool mom, and I think her kids they might be graduated, but she said something. She said that she's a single mom, and she said she was really struggling with her daughter, and you know, with her daughter in school, and she really felt like God said to her, listen, it's your responsibility to make sure that your child is educated in this world. It's not the school's responsibility, it is your responsibility as a parent. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And this woman, she had a wonderful story because she had done so many things, you know, and to provide that quality education for her child. But every person, every citizen of the United States of America, we all have that right to educate our children. And it doesn't have to be solely the responsibility of the school system. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Like, I'll tell you what, it is day 2. I wasn't going to bring this up today. I was going to wait on this. But I'm bringing it up.
Maybe.
Because it is day 2 of school. And already I have received a text message from a child in my daughter's class that has very apparent CRT in it. Okay? Like, very apparent. And I only have a portion of the question, and but I shouldn't be seeing this on day 2. We've got a bunch of parents out there that are upset right now because and I don't know if it's a new policy or if this is now the second year that it's been around. I don't know. But apparently our kids are not allowed to have their backpacks on them during school or their cell phones, and they have to keep them across the room in a backpack on the desk. I don't know if that's at every single school or if that's a new policy or not. But here's what I do know. I know that parents around Lee County right now feel like this conversation was never brought up.
Correct.
They feel like they were left out of a very important decision in their kids' lives. And then they see, well, I have to answer 500 questions and fill out all these forms and everything else just so my kid can access their schedule. But you don't even have the courtesy to tell me that you've switched from Chromebooks to pen and paper, that you don't want my kid to have her cell phone on her, that her backpack's got to be across the room. So, and you don't even tell anybody that until open house. You know, these are not the way this is not the way you build relationships in our district. This is the way that you continue to break them.
Well, you know, and once again, my paradigm is you don't make these changes, even the ones that seem small, lightly. Because you have to understand that when you're going to change something, people are going to want to know why, and they're going to be concerned.
Well, they want to be involved.
Correct, and it would have been been so easy to reach out to the parents and let them know what
I've gotten a peach jar flyer. I've gotten like 10 peach jar flyers. I've gotten a letter from the superintendent. I've gotten an email from the superintendent, a video from the superintendent, one from the principal. I've gotten so many communications over the last 2 weeks. It has been unreal. To not tell me that I can't have or that my kid can't have her phone or her backpack until open house.
Well, you know, I had I had a call from a parent today, and I spoke to her for about 45 minutes on this very topic. And you know, one of the things with regard to safety is parents like the idea of the fact that their kids have cell phones with them, and that they actually have them near them in their pockets or on their desk or in the basket right underneath their seat, because what they know is that if something does happen, that the kids have a vehicle for communication. Yep. Now, if you've moved those, it seems like a simple thing. Oh, just put the backpacks up on the shelf or whatever. But, you know, if you have to suddenly try to access something like that in a state of an emergency.
Think about a classroom of 37 kids that's got to access that.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a problem.
It's going to be a problem.
Kids running across there, and then they have to find their phone, and then they have to go in.
And not for nothing, but I have a text in my phone right now of a question that was asked in a reading class that contained CRT. So when I have that on day 2, and then I have all these weird rules now about how you can't have Chromebooks in class and you can't have your phones in class. Come on, are you trying to hide something from us? As you sit there and tell me that it's okay, you want me to come volunteer in your schools, but at the same time, my kid can't even have her cell phone on her person. Like, come on. Where's the transparency in that?
I don't know. I guess I grew up old school.
Well,
we
they
had
didn't have
payphones. Yeah, we didn't.
He's like,
no,
you better
rotary
dial.
But the problem you've got is and I give this look. I ain't blaming the teachers for this, because the parents are as bad as not teaching their kids proper etiquette. And you've got certain children that come in there, and when the parents are away, they're going to play, and they're going to be hateful to the teachers. They're going to pull the phone out. There's going to be so many different issues with the other side of that coin.
I agree.
From where you're at. But a good rule of thumb, and I'm just going to tell you, parents, if you go into a schoolhouse and your kid's teacher's hair looks like she's a parrot and her lips are painted black, it's time to get a new teacher. I'm just telling you.
Maybe. One of my daughter's teachers, she has very colorful hair, and she is wonderful. And she is wonderful. And she shares all of the same values
I can't take them all at the same time.
So I would not judge a book by its cover, because, you know, some people might label us, you know, judge us, you know, without getting to know us first. And that's not you can't judge somebody.
I'm kind of old school. I kind of want to talk to people and find out.
Thank you.
Because if I'm blind, I can't see what the people are doing. Yeah,
Wait till they open their mouth to
Have you ever talked to anybody with multicolored hair and black lips?
Okay, I'm going to move on.
Yeah, but, you know, talk to
I
clowns
have.
all the time.
I love
We're moving on. We're
Listen,
moving on.
I went to a school where I was the minority, and I don't just mean that like by the color of my skin. I mean even just socially or whatever too. So I was friends with everybody. So like when I see somebody with colorful hair or with a different color skin or whatever the case may be, I welcome that conversation because I don't know. Some of the coolest people I've ever met in the world are some of the weirdest looking people you've ever met.
Well, I want to go back to talking about fake news and the fact that the news media can absolutely spin anything. I'm going to talk about a news story that just recently came out about me in which I was called a hypocrite. And I would like to explain that. And I would also like to say, and we're not using names, I'm prefacing this whole conversation by saying that, okay? Because it's really, honestly, the name is really not important. This is, however, a person that is professing to be a source that you can go to absolutely find out the truth. So what happened was the Lee County Republican Executive Committee, the board, they have their slate of candidates. I'm not saying you endorse them, okay? But they were definitely supporting them. And they did want to move to endorse them, and they tried to do it in January, and they tried to do it in April, and they tried to do it in May. And I basically said, I basically did not want this to happen, because even though I'm a Republican, they were certainly not looking to give me that endorsement. And let's talk about what that endorsement meant, okay? Because I was actually then endorsed by a local club, not the Republican Executive Committee, okay, a local club, which is completely different. It's not even apples and oranges, it's apples and hot dogs, okay? Because when you are on the board of the REC, you are elected to a position that represents every single Republican in the entire county. And if you make that endorsement and endorse those candidates, what you are de facto saying is that those candidates have the Republican endorsement from everybody in the county. Not only that, it comes with financial gains. The candidates, there were 4 of them, so they stood to gain upwards of $12,000 apiece right into their contributions. Okay, so yes, I'm trying to get on the school board, and I want a free and fair election. And I don't think that it was even if they can, which they can by their bylaws endorse. Do I think that's right? No, I don't. I have been a Republican since I am 18 years old, and I'm going to be 62. You're not going to find somebody as conservative as me. And yet somehow or the other, because I wasn't the anointed one, you can't wait until the primary so that we can have a free and fair election. This is exactly what the American people are not happy about. So anyway, this article was written about me that called me a hypocrite because I accepted this endorsement from a club, okay, but I thought that it would be wrong for the Lee County Republican Executive Committee to endorse. So let's talk about what that means to be a club. First of all, it's a social club. Secondly, I had no idea that they were even planning on endorsing. Their board happened to get together and they discussed whether or not they should endorse, and they were not endorsing a slate of candidates. They endorsed various candidates across the board.
But they also voted on which races they were even. They voted on every single thing imaginable, and one of them even sat out because the president sat out because he didn't want it to be a conflict of interest, and he was only going to vote in the case of a tie.
So yes, initially the president did want to give the people that they endorsed $500, okay, and then decided not to, and I respect that decision. But in essence, you cannot compare receiving a campaign contribution of $500 to over $12,000. So in the end, these two things just do not line up. But it was utilized to do a hit piece on me and to call me a hypocrite, okay? And these are the kinds of things that we're facing. These are the kind of dirty things that we're facing, and this is fake news. So if you want to tell the real news, if you want to be known for telling the real news, then please always just tell the real news.
Well, and it's a very unfortunate because if and when, not if, but when, Denise and I make it through, and I'm
you will.
I'm going to speak for you too. No, you're jumping in this boat with us. Because here's the thing, once the primary is over and we're up against the machine in the general, you bet your butt there are going to be some mailers made about me. I've already told, but here's the beautiful part of it though, is that I've already told everybody that I have a past. I've already told y'all that I grew up right here in Lee County. I've already told you guys that I was arrested when I was 18. I already told you guys that I was divorced. I've already told all my dirty news. And guess what? I'm young enough to where most of it's online anyway. So if you want to know what it is, you can go out and find out, or you can contact me, and I'm happy to have a conversation with you about it. But just know when you see the mailers, because they're coming, that it's coming from a party, not a party, a person that is running campaigns for multiple people that is scared. He is scared that he's no longer going to be kingmaker in Lee County. And guess what? You're not. So, because we the people are finally awake, and we outnumber you 100 to 1.
I'll be so glad
well,
we can use names again.
No,
right?
yeah. And let me just say something else that really bothers me about this. So Christy is a mom who is married to an Army veteran. They have a wonderful combat vet. They have three lovely daughters. They raised their family in a very, very Christian household. And so, really, you're talking, I mean, therefore but the grace of God go I. If somebody wanted to use something that happened to me when I was 17 years old or when I was 20 years old.
I already prepped my kids. I mean, I sat down and had a conversation with my girls the other day because, our families, they do feel, the repercussions of this campaign, like all of us. If you've got kids, Craig, like, you feel it. And I sat down with my girls the other day when I saw Jason Jones hit second hit piece. Because the first one, we were like, okay, whatever, like, this is lame. The second one, you were like, dang, this was rude.
Right.
This was hurtful.
Right.
And I felt bad. And so I
showed amends for 30 years in your life. 30 years.
Look, imagine what his daughter thought.
You turn your life
she
around.
Saw that.
You're community service oriented. You do so much for the community. You attend all of the sporting events to help people out. Your kids are in the school district, and then you get beat up by the
And you got to think, his kid is a teen. So it wasn't just his daughter that saw it. It was all of his daughter's friends' parents, and probably her friends too. And that was a real crap move by a real crap person. And when those things come out about me, I needed my kids to know that this is what you can expect. Because it's very unfortunate that was the conversation that I had to have with them. But I reassured them with this, and I'll tell you all the same. You will never see anything like that ever come out of my campaign, Denise's campaign. Any person that is associated with us will not ever send out a hit piece on any one of our opponents. You know why? Because cowards do that. And we're not cowards. We're going to win because we deserve it, not because we drug anybody else's name through the mud.
Yeah, kind of just what happened to me this week. They were going after me. When I see my grandkids next time, how am I going to explain this to them? They haven't been exposed to this their whole life. I mean, they're going to sit down. I'm sure someone's going to shove something in their face. Unfortunately, they live in Broward County, but it's going to get their way over there. And then I'm going to have to explain to them, well, Grandpa, you're an anti-Semite, I'm Jewish. What's going on? You don't love me anymore? And it's just like, oh God, I'm going to have to deal with this.
And wasn't there, though, a Jewish organization that researched this whole thing and they basically came back and said it's a nothing burger on top of
Exactly. I mean, we just sent a letter this morning.
Right, and this is the damage
we spent 3 hours on it last night, and this is taking away from me going out meeting people and talking to people. You guys had this happen a long time ago. Me, it just happened within the last 4 days. So you've kind of been dealing with this. So all of a sudden, I'm not political, so I'm just dealing with this, talking to everybody I have to. I just found out, my Instagram was hacked. I put it up. I never put maybe 5 posts on it, and they were all last summer. And then all of a sudden, someone gets in there and says what they have to do. So now I got to spend tomorrow, which is my 35th anniversary, talking to Collier Sheriff's Department to find out, file the report and what happened. I just don't think this is right. I'm trying to get kids to get educated. And
but
like everyone else,
this is why they did it though. Because they're wanting to take your eye off the prize. You said something earlier, and you said, why is it so hard to be good? And I was thinking about it, and it's so hard to do the right thing because doing the wrong thing, like everybody does the wrong thing because it's really, really easy. Nobody does the right thing because it's hard to do. And you have to just keep doing the right thing.
Why don't we talk for a minute about the positives, about what our platforms are?
Well, before we do, I'm going to tell folks, it's so important that you get out and vote.
Yes.
Now, August 23rd is the primary. Let me tell you what could happen. If these guys don't get 50 plus 1 votes and somebody else does, it's over. It's over. And that's why you see the hit pieces coming out now, because you're days away from that deadline. And we've got to get out and vote. We've got to support these grassroots, non-establishment candidates who are not beholden to nobody.
And I keep telling everyone this, and so I'm going to use this platform to do it as well. If you're registered as an NPA, an independent, a libertarian, any one of those parties that's not a Republican or a Democrat, I implore you to vote. You are absolutely 100% allowed to and should vote in the primary election. In fact, if you do not vote in the primary election, there is a very good chance you will not see one of your favorite candidates on the general election ballot. We need the NPAs to vote. We need you. You are 35% of our voting population. If you sit out of this, it's anyone's game.
Well, and I have 3 people that are in my race. Christy has 4. Tim
Tim's
has
got
5.
us
Okay,
five.
so what's going to happen in the primary is it's going to knock the race down to 2 people that will then go on to the general. So unless one of us or all of us ended up with 50% plus 1, we will all probably more than likely go on to the general. So that's something else that you need to know, because then you're going to need to vote again on November 8th.
And in Tim's race, it's like really important. I was thinking, since he said that 5 this whole time, all I've been doing is like thinking about the numbers in my head. I literally have, because the percentage, like, it's going to come down to just a few votes. Like, it could come down to a few votes in his race.
Exactly.
So it's super important.
With five candidates, I don't see nobody getting 50%.
No.
Unfortunately not.
No.
With 3, the probability is statistically not there. Right. So
I mean, I'm still praying for it, though.
Exactly. I'd love to be able to
pray harder. Pray harder.
Yeah, and I really do. I wholeheartedly feel like that Tim, Christy, and Denise are the 3 best candidates for the positions they're running for. And the school board is the most important race we're faced with, because that's our most valuable possession to our children. And I know, me personally, I can look at some of the candidates, and I don't know that I really want them being the ones that's taking care of what my child needs for the next couple of years. But when I talk to Christy, I talk to Denise, I talk to Tim, I feel comfortable. And that's what we need. We need to be comfortable for the people that we are putting in a position that we're paying with our tax dollars, and they are doing the most important job of anybody. To me, it's more important than the mayor's job, because you're dealing with my child.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, that's why we're here. We care about the kids. I've never been in politics, and there's a problem, and we need to fix it. And that's why I'm running. I know that's why you're running, and you thought you could take retire, but evidently you're wrong.
You know what? I just couldn't, because 5 minutes. Okay. You know, I'm sure that we're all very focused on the same goals. We want to increase student achievement. We want to increase the transition of kids from grade 12 into something that's going to make them productive members of society.
Fix transportation.
We want a transparent budget. Yes, I know. Oh my goodness.
I want more vocational. I want to see FFAs and 4-H clubs sprouting up everywhere. I want to see kids working with their hands. I want to see kids actually experiencing life, because what they're experiencing with virtual reality and all that stuff, that's not realistic. What is that? You're not going to be able to earn unless you get something that is suited for you, because not every guy's cut out to be a farmer, not every guy's cut out to be a truck driver. As leaders, we must figure out what's the best for each individual child. and we must work to attain those goals.
Yeah, and when you have budgets as large as we do, then, we should have every learning modality available to children.
Exactly. I mean, I have 3 different daughters. One went in the military, 2 went off to college, and they did different things, and they're all very successful in their own ways. And, each kid's different, so vocational training's good. Maybe when they want to become a doctor, it's just each individual and every person's different. You got a couple kids, they're both completely different, and that's just the way children
Well,
are.
we got to have every opportunity for them.
Yes.
We got to be able. They got to find their clique. Because if you don't find their clique, then you are creating somebody that's socially never going to fit in. And if they find something they're good at or something they enjoy doing, then they're going to prosper.
That's right.
Yeah, and we need to take care of our school personnel too. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm not sure what's going on in Collier County, but I will tell you the pay for so many of the school personnel in Lee County is just absolutely abysmal.
And we're not
Oh,
talking
it's the same way in
starting
Collier
salary.
County.
Right.
They can't afford to live here. I mean, I
Yeah.
have multiple people I've talked to were going to take jobs in Collier, and they came to Lee because it pays better. And it's just,
Wow.
it is.
Because
That's very
people leave
interesting.
Lee because it doesn't pay so well.
And they
well,
can't
and
afford
here's
the
the thing,
housing down
starting salary. They left Collier to come to Lee because of the starting salary.
Right,
And you've got
exactly.
teachers dying
Right.
in Lee right now that are making $500 less than teachers that have just come on. Or 500 more, excuse me.
And maybe I'm going to be wrong, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I make a bet. If we can get that budget transparency where it needs to be, the money is there.
Oh, exactly.
Of course it is.
In Collier County, I mean, it's probably at least 30% over where it should be for comparable size. I mean, down there in Naples, you have multi-million-dollar houses. Your average house is pushing $1 million. Where if you go to middle of the state, it's half that or a quarter of that. So they're all based on the property taxes. So the money should be there.
Should be
And
there.
I also found out before I ran, we have just over 3,100 teachers and over 4,000 non-teaching positions. I mean, we're supposed to be there for the kids. They should be teaching. Why do we have that problem? I mean, Kelly that runs Mason Academy has 90 teachers and there are actually 20 non-teaching positions. So the numbers aren't, they're just not there.
I mean, just as teachers are an example, but I mean, we could look across the contracts to know that they're significantly underpaid. But up until this past year, Lee County teachers made $47,500, and their salary stopped there for 13 years.
Nobody's working anywhere for 13
And after
years.
13 years,
Nobody.
they received a $500 a year increase. $500 with a 1-year contract and no tenure. You know what that means, folks? No job security.
We got to get better. We got to do better.
We have to
and
do
you
better.
know what? With people like us on the board, that's what you're going to get.
Absolutely, everybody's got to go out and vote. Christy, give everybody the website.
You can find me at Christy4LeeSchools.com and find me on Facebook. Same thing, Christy4LeeSchools.
The Tim Mosier.
Tim for CollierCountySchools.com. Just got that easy.
Yeah, and I've been getting a lot of emails. Email me, folks. Elect Denise Nystrom at gmail.com. Elect Denise Nystrom. I answer everybody.
And I'm Smoking Joe, the Cracker Culture Podcast for Real Floridians. We love you, Florida. Love, peace, and gator grease.
We're out.